Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk a little bit about how to approach a stranger. Alright, now the title kind of sounds kind of funny, but honestly in photography there's going to be a lot of times where you're out on the street and you see somebody that just catches your eye for some reason. Maybe they have a specific outfit on, or they have just something about their personality or the way they carry themselves, and it just kind of like draws attention to itself, and you might want to get their photo, but you know, maybe you're kind of introverted, or maybe you don't actually have a lot of experience in going up to somebody and asking for a photo, but I have a couple of tips that I think might help you out. So if you've looked at any of my work, you've probably seen some of my photos, and I photograph a lot of places, and I like to include what I call the human element. Obviously I like to have the people in the photo also, but they're kind of just going about their daily lives doing their thing. But every once in a while I do see somebody that strikes my eye, and for whatever reason I really want to take their photo. Now, you can do the sort of sneaky thing where you just kind of get the candid shot, which is fine and it works just fine. But sometimes you're in an environment where you can't get that candid shot for whatever reason. Maybe they're behind somebody or something's in the way, or you just really want to get a clean, well-focused portrait style shot of them. And in that case, you're gonna actually have to go up and talk to them and ask them permission to get their photo. And you really should be asking permission. Don't just go up to somebody and be like, you know, and then like run off. It just kind of seems weird. All right, but anyway, so the thing I want you to remember about this is that you have to go up to somebody with confidence, okay? So first of all, read the scene, okay? If they're walking very quickly down a street and they're trying to get somewhere, it's probably not gonna be the best time to ask them for a photo. That is actually stopping somebody from, you know, continuing on their day. If they're in an environment where they're just standing around anyway, or maybe they're chatting with some friends, that's kind of a better scene to go up and a better circumstance to go up and say, you know, hey, do you mind if I get your photo? And that's the other part of it too. When you go up and say that, basically what you want to remember is that the very first reaction from somebody when you say, hey, can I have your photo, is, why do you want my photo? That's going to be the exact thought that comes into their head. Who is this guy? Who is this girl? And why does he or she want my photo? So go up to them and say something along these lines. Hey, do you mind if I get your photo? I really like, insert whatever it is. Is it their mustache? Is it their outfit? What is it that draws you to them? What is it that makes you want to have that photo? Is it their beard? Is it the suit they're wearing or the dress they're wearing? Sometimes when people dress flamboyantly out in public, they come to expect a little bit of attention. Those people are not introverted. Those people will appreciate somebody appreciating them. And that's just basically how all humans work, right? So once you've established that there's something about them that you like, have that already in mind. You're gonna basically disarm that objection. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's the only thing that you need to really know about approaching strangers, is that very first reaction that somebody's gonna have is, why does this person want my photograph? So if you go into a situation and you're confident and you seem genuine and you tell them what it is about them right off the bat that attracted you to go take their photo, you're gonna, like I said, disarm them. You're gonna seem genuine. You're gonna make it a lot more comfortable, and you know, there might be some conversation after that. You know, don't just get the photo and go, you know, run away. You know, I'll go over some examples here in a second about how this whole thing has really helped me out approaching strangers, but that's the thing. Sometimes I want to have conversations and I want to converse and maybe get to know you a little bit better as a photographer. Hey, what do you do? Here's what I do. You know, that's just making a relationship, and that's great. That's a good way for you to open doors that way too, and see if maybe there's a business relationship there, or heck, even a friendship can form just by approaching somebody and being polite on the street. So just remember that, you know, you got to be polite, be respectful of their time, and if they say no, you know, it's just very, very key things that every photographer should know before they actually approach somebody. So real quick, I want to show you a couple of examples where this sort of approach has worked for me. When I went to New York City last year, I only had 2 days in the city, one day in Brooklyn and one, actually not even a full day in Manhattan, just a few hours in Manhattan to take a few photos. And there were some people that, you know, were just dressed incredibly because it was Fashion Week. So this is an example of somebody that I just caught him right outside of the World Trade Center area, and I loved his sunglasses, and I just walked right up to him and I was just completely honest. I said, hey, excuse me, do you mind if I get a photo? I think your sunglasses are awesome. And that was pretty much it. And he was like, oh yeah, thanks man, yeah, sure. And he stepped back, I got a few shots, we talked briefly, you know, and then just kind of went our separate ways, and that was just a really nice interaction. It was the same thing in Brooklyn the day before when I had spotted these two girls. Actually, I just spotted the one girl with the Statue of Liberty hat on, and I thought, hey, that's kind of quintessential New York City tourist, you know, right there. So I went up to her. She had a little more broken English, so it was a little more difficult at first, but I got a few shots of her, and then her friend was there and she wanted to get in a photo with her, which I was fine with, obviously. So she got in the photo, and you know, we just talked a little bit. I gave them my business card. They ended up emailing me, so I just emailed them all the photos that I had taken, and that's just kind of like, you know, payment for them just being gracious and letting you, you know, have their photo taken. Here's another example from when I was in Bali. Now this is an example of when I don't speak the language. I for whatever reason, we were traveling around that area of the island the same time that the president was, so there was a lot of military out there. And I remember walking up to these two guys, and their sergeant or whoever their commanding officer was with them. And I walked up to all three of them, and I just gestured to my camera and I said, hey, you know, do you mind if I take a photo? And the sergeant like grouped them together and like made them hold up their guns, and then he ran out of the shot because I guess he didn't want to be in the photo. But these two guys were really keen to get photographed, and you know, we shared some smiles, and I said thank you and waved, and they waved back. And you know, sometimes even if they're carrying automatic weapons and you sort of just really want that shot, there's no problem in walking up. If it's a security situation and you have to stay back, they'll let you know. But in this case, it worked out really well. Here's another example where I was actually in Bali still, and we were taking a tour around some of these rice paddies, and our tour guide had just introduced us to this gentleman who was a friend of theirs, and I ended up taking maybe 5 or 6 shots of this guy, and you know, he was super gracious. He kind of posed for me in his rice field there he was working on. That was his specific rice field to his family. And you know, another one where I just kind of motioned with my camera and said, would you mind? And he stepped back, and I just got a nice kind of environment in there with him, and that's another example where the portrait works out really well. And speaking of not speaking the language, there was also an example when I was in Italy. We were walking past this really kind of grand mansion slash palace looking area. Lots of armed security out there, lots of limos driving into this driveway. And there was this one guy who was dressed in this sort of outfit, and he kind of looked like he had a cape on, but he was just kind of dressed to the nines. You know, I wanted the shot, and I went up to him and I just gestured with my photo. I said, you know, would you mind if I had a photo? I don't even know if he understood what I said or not, but he clearly did, because he stood up really straight and he posed for me, and I got this really great shot of him. And again, no language spoken, but just the kind of the language of the camera and just saying, hey, would you mind? But you know, again, it's just the worst somebody could say is no. So just walk up and just ask, you know, and again, it just comes back to the whole thing, how to approach a stranger, right? Be polite, be confident, tell them right off the bat, you know, why you want to have their photo, and you know, it's gonna work out. So listen guys, if you liked the video, please be sure to like, subscribe, share it with your friends. If you have any comments about this video or any other ideas on how to approach somebody, please leave them in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.